Durdle Magic. Thank you for tuning in to Durdle Magic. Please subscribe and hit that notification bell if you like the content you see here today, and leave a like and share the video with someone you might think is interested. Leaving those likes really helps us out, but another way to help us out is by using our TCG Player affiliate link below. If you're looking for singles, sealed product, or gaming accessories, please consider using our link to support the channel. We also have some playmats at inkgaming.com. Go ahead and hit the link in the description to check those out. Alright, let's grab some spells and Durdle with some magic. Hello and welcome back to Durdle Magic. Today we're touching bases back with Brokkos Infect version. This deck is unchanged from the original, and for the next video I'm going to do a major overhaul to it and see if we can't make it better. Looking at our opening hand, let's see, Evolving Wilds, 2 other colors. Yeah, I think we can keep it. We have a Cultivate to catch up. Let's go ahead and do so. So, if you remember back on the Brokkos series, only did 2 videos for that series when I was paring down the video content a little bit, but we're here back with Brokkos to see how it will do with all the new cards that have come out since then. And our first play of the game, it also means we're going last. Overwhelmed Apprentice coming into play for our first opponent. When enters the battlefield, each opponent gets to mill 2 cards, then scry 2. So, yay, I guess. We get rid of Temple of Mystery and Whispering Spectre. So there goes one of our better Infect creatures in the deck. Our first opponent, by the way, is Azami, Lady of Scrolls. 2 blue for a legendary 0/2 wizard. Tap an untapped wizard you control, draw a card. So the advantage will be real, probably combo. There are some bigger wizards, but I don't picture it being much of a combat-oriented deck. Haven't played against it before, so this should be interesting. Our next opponent is Animar, Soul of Elements. Could be Morph, could be big stuff, who knows. Green, blue, red for a legendary 1/1 creature with protection from black and white. Whenever you cast a creature spell, put a 1/1 counter on this card, and creature spells you cast cost 1 less for each 1/1 counter on Animar. So this was originally released in the very first Commander product produced by Wizards of the Coast. Gruul Guildgate into play for that player. Our next opponent is Bruna, the Fading Light, and Griselda Broken Blade, although Griselda is not the commander. They can meld into Griselda, Voice of Nightmares. So it is 5 white for a 5/7 flying Vigilance Angel. Whenever you cast this spell, you may return target angel or human creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Oh, it looks like Bruna is already out of the game. Okay. We'll go over our commander in a minute. Let's get down the Evolving Wilds, and let's probably get down a Forest, because we do have some green in the deck. We have double green in our commander, which we'll cover in a minute. And we will have all the other colors besides, but a lot of green in hand, so let's get down that Forest and pass it off to our opponents. Our commander, Brokkos Apex of Forever, 2 black, green, blue for legendary Nightmare Beast Elemental, 6/6 trample. You may cast this from your graveyard using its mutate ability, and its mutate ability does cost us 2 Dimir green. Azami's turn, Island into play. Too bad about Bruna. Wonder why they left? I hope they're okay. Storybrooke Banneret, Island Walk, Merfolk, and Wizard spells cost you 1 less to cast. We have an attack. Let's see, Overwhelmed Apprentice, off into Animar. Yeah, okay, that works for me. We are not the scary competitor here. 1 damage is good, rolls over to Animar. Command Tower, into play for the Animar. Lightning Greaves coming down. That's gonna be difficult. We do have Nature's Claim though, so that's nice, but protection from white and black. Our black removal won't work anyway. Comes our turn, we get it first. Let's go ahead and, I don't know, let's see. I guess we'll play the Temple of Malady. Doesn't look like we really need to do anything just yet, but Sylvan Library getting it down might be good. Yeah, so let's play the Island and get down the Sylvan Library. Sylvan Library to the stack. Hopefully it won't be immediately destroyed, and we'll pass it off to our opponents. Sylvan Library is not a budget card. That will be changed in the next Brokkos video. I left this one, like I said, largely as is, and while the deck was budget-ish back then, I don't know where it is now. Azami's turn, Island into play. Tapping down some mana for Diviner's Wand. So this one cares specifically about wizards, so that's pretty interesting. My friend has used this to some effect in his Arjun deck. Naban, Dean of Iteration. Okay, that's going to be interesting. So the wizard's definitely outracing everybody at the table. Unfortunately, we don't really have an answer for any of this just yet. So Diviner's Wand Says, whenever you draw a card, this creature gets 1/1 gains flying until end of turn and 4 draw a card. You can see where that might be good with our June, who has Mind Boil. Whenever they cast a spell, they put their hand on bomb and draw that many cards. So my friend could easily do commander damage with it. No attacks out of Azami though. Over to Animar, who drops an island. Animar, Soul of Elements, coming down for that player. I do love the art on this card. It's so very much an elemental. Lightning Greaves to Animar. Didn't see that coming. Alright, let's see if they send it anywhere. I don't think they will. Maybe into us, but I doubt it. Nope, no attacks. Over to our turn. Sylvan Library will trigger. We did draw Broken Bond on the draw step. Let's see what else we can get. We have Heroic Intervention and Sword of Truth and Justice. Sword of Truth and Justice might be really good right now. Heroic Intervention, very good. Broken Bond, very good. So, let's see. Choose 2 cards drawn this turn. We have to put back on top of the deck. Let's go ahead and put Broken Bond and Heroic Intervention back on top, because we only need the Nature's Claim right now to deal with the Lightning Greaves. Let's go ahead and do Temple of Milady. We get to scry 1. We already know what's there. We will keep it on top of the deck. And let's see. Do we want a defender? Not really yet. Let's go ahead and pass it off to our opponents. Keep up Nature's Claim. I don't want to make the Animar player feel like we're going after him or something. Diviner's Wand is another possible target. Now that we know we have Broken Bond on top of the deck somewhere, second from the top really, not too much of a big deal. Seagate Oracle coming down. When enters the battlefield, look at the top 2 cards of the library, put one of them into your hand, the other on the bottom, so they'll get to do that twice with Nabon. Diviner's Wand will trigger for a bunch. Trigger's done. 4 cards in hand now, just played an island. Let's see if they do anything else this turn. Wizard deck doing fairly well. Their commander going to be a problem. Hopefully we will draw some removal. We have Nabon and the Storybook off into the Animar player. They do have an island, so one has flying, one has island block. They will both be more or less unblockable. Damage is good. Rolls over to Animar. Bloom Tender coming down. That's one of the best mana dorks ever. Probably needs a couple more reprints before it's affordable. So it says, tap, for each color among permanents you control, add 1 mana of that color. So, at best, it can tap and add Wooburg to your mana pool. In this deck, it will add green, blue, red. Fauna Shaman coming down for the Animar player. That will also be pretty good. Basically a tutor. Forest into play. So far we have 2 elves onto the battlefield. Alright, they are morphing something, so that's interesting. Let's see what they're going to ever morph that up into, perhaps. They have 3 cards on Animar, so each of their morphs will now be essentially free as long as they play them morphed face down. Alright, so I think we'll play Nature's Claim on the Greaves here. That way maybe the Wizard can help deal with the morph army. And then we'll do Broken Bond after we do the Cultivate on Diviner's Wand. Animar off into us. Yep, that seems pretty legit. We'll take 5 commander damage. Damage is good. Down to 35, up to 5 commander. Comes our turn. Heroic Intervention is the draw, but we do have that library trigger. Let's go see what we have besides Broken Bond. We have Protective Bubble. That will be good later. Do I want to do anything with anything right now? Not really. If we had another land, we did Broken Bond, got another land to play, played Cultivate, but that's not what we have right here. So let's go ahead and put Protective Bubble back on top of the library, and we'll put Heroic Intervention back on top. 2 dead draws as far as lands go, so that's not the best. Let's go ahead and play Cultivate. We have a forest in hand and green on the battlefield, so I think we'll get an island and a swamp into play. Or to our hand, rather. We'll put the swamp into play, island to hand, and then we'll play the forest for turn. Then we'll have to pass it off to our opponents. I'm going to keep the Diviner's Wand up just so they can threaten Animar a little bit more. So, we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it doesn't backfire too badly. High Tide. Whenever a player taps an island for mana, it adds blue. Oh boy. So, essentially now all islands in play will tap to add blue to a mana pool. Azami, Lady of Scrolls coming down for that player. They will be able to draw a lot of cards. Nabon will hit for a lot of damage. Gonna need to get that Broken Bond down pretty quick, perhaps. Depends who they go after, I suppose. We could probably risk about 3 turns with it on the high end, but we'll have to wait and see. Face here coming down. That's another Wizard. When there's the battlefield, they scry 2, but because of Nabon, they will scry 4. Diviner's Wand, of course, triggers. So they will be able to attach it to the ferry if they want to. I doubt it. We have a reaction. Azami, Lady of Scrolls, drawing a card. Naban will get larger. Another activation to draw a card. They're going to soup up Naban. They might leave themselves somewhat defenseless though, so this is interesting. Let's wait and see. Drawing yet another card. Naban will get bigger again. Drawing another card. Lightning Greaves coming down for the Azami player. Let's see what they'll send it. Probably their commander. I don't think Naban is that much of a priority, but maybe it is. It is to Naban. Alright, so now it has Flying, Haste, and Shroud, and it's a 7/6. Are they going to send it somewhere, though? Rapid hybridization on the Animar Soul of Elements. Alright, Lightning Greaves destroying it was a good play. We will have to destroy the other Lightning Greaves, though. Damage they can have. Protection, I don't want them to. To combat Naban over into us. That is unfortunate. Okay, so let's go ahead and take that 7. Nothing we can do much about. Down to 28 we go. Pain in the face that it was. Over to Animar's turn. They will have to recast their commander, but they do have to drop a land to do that. Eternal Witness coming down, so they can get back anything. Vizier of the Menagerie is a very good card. Also their Lightning Greaves, which would be problematic. They are getting back the Lightning Greaves. Sad face. Blue probably won't have anything to destroy that. As a matter of fact, I'd wager it doesn't. So we're the only ones that can do that, but then we have Naban to worry about. Drew 2 pieces of removal, it's just not enough right now. No attacks out of the Animar player, just Lightning Greaves back to their hand. 2 mana available to him, maybe a Heroic Intervention, never know. Comes our turn, we draw a Forest, Sylvan Library will trigger. We did shuffle the air cards off the top, so let's see what we have. Heroic Intervention is back, Watery Grave is also back. So I guess at this point we can put the Watery Grave back rather, put the Heroic Intervention back, keep the Forest. That way we can do Broken Bond, play our island as well, and then maybe the Blight Mamba? Let's go ahead and cast Broken Bond on the Lightning Greaves on the battlefield. A little bit of revenge, I suppose. And we'll put a Forest into play. Play an island for the turn. Cast the Blight Mamba, leave up mana to regenerate it, and pass it off to our opponents. End of our turn. Azami, Lady of Scrolls being tapped to draw a card for the Azami player. Over to Azami, Lady of Scrolls turn. Naban will get bigger for them drawing a card. They can potentially draw, let's see, 5 more cards this turn without using any mana. Could be very dangerous. Riptide Laboratory. An interesting ability here. 1 blue, tap, return target wizard you control to its owner's hand. So it does give them some protection against removal. And with Naban in play, that just means they can get more triggers. Pretty good. Azami player doing nothing else in the turn. Okay, that's interesting. Over to Animar. Bloom Tender gives them enough mana. Oh, Consecrated Sphinx. Okay. That's not exactly what I was expecting. That sucks. And here I thought it'd be safe not to keep up the blue mana for Whirlwind Denial, but okay. That was not the case. Animar through their turn without attacking. Oh boy. That is a lot of potential stoof. Alright, comes to our turn. The Consecrated Sphinx will trigger. We get the Sylvan Library trigger. We draw Heroic Intervention. Look at the top 2. Just lands. Too bad we can't put them on bomb, because that's really not going to help us. Maybe we should just get them out of the way. It would bring us down to 20 life, though, so that is problematic. Consecrated Sphinx will draw Animar even more cards. Alright, let's go ahead and play the Water Grave. It'll come into play. Tap, thank you kindly. We don't need to pay any more life. Then let's go ahead and summon our Sword of Truth and Justice. Alright, so playing for the next turn, Brokkos equip Sword, have mana up for the Heroic Intervention. I think we can just squeak that by. Let's go ahead, pass the turn. Unfortunately, there's nothing else we can do. Deck only has this 18 creatures in it, so we can't exactly pressure anybody, but I do wish we'd get one of our Pillow Fort effects would be pretty good. End of turn, Azami player going to draw some more cards with their wizards. Consecrated Sphinx. It could be an interesting alternate win condition if they could draw Animar player out enough before they can respond and mill them out. It is a May trigger though, but sometimes people forget. Unfortunately on Magic Online, it does tell you if you want to do something. If it's a May, it will ask yes or no. Under the logo here in this box, it will ask you that. For Sylvan Library specifically, it says you may as well over here. So every time it comes around to that trigger, I have to select yes if I want to look at the top 2. So upon reflection of my words, I guess they can't mill them out with Consecrated Sphinx, but wouldn't that be nifty to have that kind of drawback, that you have to draw the card? maybe that would have made the card a little bit worse. Okay, we have 6 card draw activations. That means the Animar player can, if they want to, draw up to 12 cards. So this should be interestingly bad. Well, for us. Another response, the Azami player, I don't know if you saw it just there, they drew another card. I thought they'd tapped down all the wizards and handled that, but I guess not. Oh, I see, they activated Diviner's Wand. Right. Diviner's Wand also had the ability to draw a card. Over to Azami, Lady of Scrolls' turn. Yeah, so 13 cards in hand for them after the draw. The Animar player has 24 cards in hand. They just really wanted all those options, I suppose. They aren't in danger of being milled out yet, so that's fine for them. 24 cards is a lot, though. Could be a lot of scary things in there. Reliquary Tower into play for the Azami player. Yeah, that's a good, that's good for him. Considering the deck, it had to be in there, but this is just going to be ridiculous. Azami Lady of Scrolls being activated, tap to draw a card. Consecrated Sphinx will trigger, Naban, Dean of Iteration, its equipment will trigger, Diviner's Wand. It will get 1/1. Alright, looks like we're going to be drawing all the cards. Okay, so at this point, we could waste our counterspell on this entire stack unless somebody wants to pay 4. And I think that might be good because if they also have a Psych Rift in hand by now, we can kind of force that perhaps. So I think let's go ahead and do that. Whirlwind Denial can counter everything on this stack unless their controllers pay 4. The Wizard player does not pay for any of it. They could still have a Psych Rift in hand. The Animar player can't pay for any of it, so they will not be able to draw the double cards either. Whirlwind Denial is awesome. It's an uncommon from Theros. I don't know why more people don't play it, especially if you hold up priority. Usually counters only one thing, maybe, but that was Christmas, the Christmas land kind of scenario. Fantastic. Well, the Animar player at least seems entertained in chat. Preordain, coming out of the Azami player. Scry 2, draw card. We have the triggers. Ooh, Devastation Tide. So not a Psych Rift, but Devastation Tide. Okay, it returns all non-land permanents to their owner's hands. Sylvan Library gets bounced. Sword of Truth and Justice. Blight Mamba. On the bright side, that means we probably won't have to worry about Counterspell, but getting down protection with the sword against the blue player is going to be very difficult, and it won't protect us from things like Devastation Tide. Over to the Animar player. Lightning Greaves coming back down for that player. I can't remember if this deck actually has Lightning Greaves in it. We should probably add some. If not, like I said, second video for this series in particular, we are going to go and rehash the whole deck out. I'm going to add a bunch of extra stuff. Back when I started, didn't have as big a collection, so we're going to be doing that. Birds of Paradise coming down for the Animar player as well. I did want to do Brokkos this way first, as kind of like a nod to it being it didn't get the 3-video series. So this is both kind of like the first video in the 2-part series and the 3rd video for the original 2-part series. If you didn't see my little blurb at the end of the Winnow videos, I'm doing 2-part series for these extra commanders that were more popular from my previous videos in anticipation of Commander Legends, which frankly will give me commanders for the rest of my life to film. So yeah. But hey, in the comments, let me know what commanders you're looking most forward to. They have a lot of interesting commanders and only a few kind of busted cards in this set. I think Wizards overall did a good job. Forest into play for Animar. Domri, Anarch of Bulls coming down for the Animar player. Creatures you control get 1/0. +1, add red or green to your mana pool. Creatures you control that you cast this turn can't be countered. -2, target creature fights another target creature you control. We had this in Neath of the Dire Hunt, I believe. Unfortunately, I think we only got to play with one Domri. As far as Planeswalkers go, I kind of like this one. It just gives a nice static boost to your creatures. It's kind of like a mana dork, but it protects you casting your creature spells. And it's basically removal if you get something big out. It's pretty nice. Bloom Tender coming down for the Animar player. That'll be good for him. Can currently tap to add red and green to their mana pool. Lightning Greaves being switched over. It'll now have haste. They can use it to tap some more mana. And they have 28 cards in hand currently. So I guess they're getting everything that they can out of their hand, because they do not have a Reliquary Tower. Beastcaller Savant. Alright, can't be countered haste. Add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast creature spells. Yeah, that's pretty good in Animar. Also kind of good in Serach, was it Dragonclaw? The 3-colored one? Pretty good in there too. Alright, that's it for Animar. Not a bad turn considering, but they do have to discard 20 cards. Let's wait for them to do that and see what they discard. Comes to our turn. Weekend Island. Let's go ahead and play the Woodland Cemetery. We'll review Animar's Graveyard in a minute. So for this turn, let's get down the Blight Mamba again. We'll get down the Sword and the Sylvan Library. We will keep up mana for Heroic Intervention. We need to protect our commander when it comes down to mutate onto the Blight Mamba. And playing it now and attaching it, I realize it's probably not the best because it won't have haste. Let's go ahead and play the Sylvan Library. And then we'll go ahead and play the Sword. We will not equip it, however. Even though it could help us against blue, if we attach it, mutate does target, so we won't be able to mutate our commander on. Let's pass it off to our opponents and go check out Animar's Graveyard. So let's see. Conduit of Ruin, 2 Islands, Seedborn Muse, glad that's gone, Fierce Empath, Evolving Wilds, Arson of Kozilek, It That Betrays, that was a card I didn't like from the last game. Anok Survivalist, Cyclonic Rift is gone, Prime Speakers are gone, Acidic Slime, makes me wonder what they kept. Over to Azami's turn, I imagine Nabon followed by a couple of wizards. Island into play. Storybook Branneret, their wizards will cost 1 less. Alright, forgot about that. So now maybe Nabon and a bunch of wizards. There's Nabon, Dean of Iteration. He's a Wizard Harmonicon. Mox Amber coming down, didn't see that coming. Yeah, you can let me know in the comments what you think of the Jeweled Lotus too. I think it's largely going to be fine. There's a few combos, yes, but it's going to mostly reward monocolored decks, and maybe 2-colored decks. I'm with most of the internet on this one so far in that it's way too expensive, just don't buy it. If you get one in your box though, if you can sell it off and get yourself some more awesome Commander Legends cards, go ahead and do that. Overwhelmed Apprentice coming back to the battlefield. They took a little bit break, but now they have to be overworked. Apprentices. They're kind of like, you know, the interns. Here's the battlefield. Each opponent will mill 2 cards, then you scry 2. What do we mill? Aw, I want Elephant Grass. And then we also mill Strix and Alpha Authority. Oh, I really want to use Alpha Authority too, damn. Alright, well, I mean, hopefully you'll guess to something else that has a bunch of impact, maybe a backup Infect creature, because right now we only have the 1. Diviner's Wand coming back down for the Wizard player. Alright, Nabon could get very large again, but we'll have to wait and see. They do not yet have their commander down. Face here coming back down, they will get to scry 4, basically. They do attach Diviner's Wand to the Fairy Seer. It already has flying, so that's pretty good. It also has the ability to pay for and they draw a card, so it can also get fairly large. They're only missing 1 power off Nabon, so why not? Seagate Oracle coming back down, and they're tapped out of mana, which means no counterspell. That's good for us. We'll have to wait for Animar to come around, but I think at 20 life, we will be overrun by one of these opponents, probably Animar. I'm thinking we go after Animar first with the Infect, and hopefully draw something to stay the Wizard's hand from slapping us with that wand. Removal would be nice, of course. Diviner's Wand gets switched to the Seagate Oracle. Alright, that's it for Azami. Let's go over to Animar, see what they have up their sleeve. They do have a potential, 11 mana, 12 mana currently going up, and they have a land drop? That's a lot. 8 cards in hand after the draw. Let's see what they do with all that power. Domri adding some mana to their mana pool. Their creature spells cannot be countered. That's fine. We don't have a counter spell, and the blue player is tapped out, so no worries there. Animar, Soul of Elements coming back down for that player. Boom Tender tapping for 3 mana. That's pretty good. Probably the best mana dork for EDH if that ever happen. Birds of Paradise probably ties with it. That's my opinion anyway. Beast Whisperer, they're aiming to draw some more cards. Very good card. Glad I picked it up when it was still cheaper. I think Beast Whisperer is actually better than most other green cards. It's not when a creature comes into play, so it can't be as abused with blink effects, put it into play free effects, go get something and slam it on the battlefield effects. This is a good version of green card draw in that it's not easily abused. I wish they would print more like this instead of things like, was it Garrick's Awakening or whatever? Elemental Bond, stuff like that. Because you can't abuse it as much. It'd take down green's power, although it's a little late for that. We have a morph coming down. That makes a lot of sense. Lightning Greaves over to Animar. And I also want to point something out. With the rules of morph and other things that you may not necessarily know, it says up at the top line here, 3rd face down creature on the battlefield this game. When you play morph or manifest, you do have to keep track of that via the rules. When I had to play Kadena, I had to have separate predetermined areas for manifest and morph creatures. Speaking of which, we have another morph coming down, and it says the 4th down this turn. So again, if you're playing morph or manifest, make sure you keep track of those, because that is in the rules of the game. Yet another morph. They might just be able to empty most of their hand at this point. Another morph coming to the stack. And yet another morph. That'll be 5 so far. And yet another morph. That'll be the 5th one down this turn. 7th total in the game. Burnished Heart coming down for free. It only costs 3, and Animar's reduction will let it do the things. They can also sack it to get some lands, but they don't have regular mana to do that at the moment. And yet another morph. So I'll see you guys at the end of this, because they draw a card every time they cast a morph creature. As long as they get morphs to cast, we're going to be here a while. I think I'm going to poke the blue player with the Infect and force them to get Cyclonic Rift or something out, just to deal with us, perhaps. They could also just let Animar kill us. That is a risk we're taking here, because Animar will be able to attack for a lot next turn. And Morph is a special ability that doesn't use the stack, so we could be in big trouble. It's really risky, but we're not getting through on Animar, so yeah, that's the play. Anyway, see you on the other side of was it the Morphathon Marathon? I don't know. You get the idea. Holy crap. Platinum Angel. Well, okay. Yeah, I don't know if I need to poke the blue player, but I think I'm going to anyway, just so we can get this game going along a little bit for us. But Platinum Angel, yeah, there it is. More morph. Again, I'll see you now, I think, maybe on the other side. Glen Elandra Archmage. Okay, it doesn't look like they have blue mana to counter things. I hope that will be the case. So the blue player is going to be in a tight spot. If they want to get rid of Animar's army, they're going to need Psych Rift, Flood of Tears, River's Rebuke, something. And we are going to have to still poke the blue player with Infect. I mean, there's nothing else we can really do if we want to win the game. We can't just let them sit there. And hopefully that will further entice them to get rid of our board states. That will be good. No attacks at Animar, which is nice because I didn't want to have to block and regenerate the Blight Mamba. Could have, but I don't know if that would have done much for us. Comes to our turn, we get Bojuka Bog. That's pretty good. Let's go ahead and use the Sylvan Library to look at the top card, see if we get anything, you know, extra here. Something we can use. We get Guardian Project and Counterspell. Ooh, that's spicy. Counterspell. I don't know if we can leave up enough blue, but I want the Counterspell for sure. Let's put Bojuka and then the Guardian Project. By the way, Guardian Project is terrible in this deck. I think I talked about that in the last video, but just wanted to mention that. Island into play. So let's go ahead and do the things. Everybody's tapped out. Looks like we don't have anything to worry about. Let's go ahead and mutate our commander. Choose to cast with Mutate, Blight Mamba, and we'll put over. It is our commander. It now gets Infect. So let's see. We have Heroic Intervention Counterspell, and equipping the sword only costs 2. But we do need double blue and only 1 green. So let's go ahead, use green and black, equip the sword to Brokkos. And let's go to attacks. Force the blue player's hand, attack the wizard player. That will be 8 Infect. Sword will trigger. We get to put a 1/1 counter on something and then proliferate. We only proliferate the person with Infect on them. Oh, I've pressed it twice. Unfortunate for me. So yeah, proliferate is funny on Magic Online. Make sure you only click your target once. Our commander is a 9/9 though, so I guess it really doesn't matter if we survive. Let's see what the blue player has. Roll it on over. Seagate Oracle will get a 1/1 boost from Diviner's Wand at the beginning of their turn when they draw a card. So they will have 19 cards in hand after the draw. They have some mana. I'm hoping for a Psych Rift or something. Let's see if poking the mages works. Island in play during the second main. Straight to it, by the way. Come on. Come on. Draw until you get that Psych Rift. Gilded Lotus coming down. Alright. Mull the Mixture, Transmute. Okay, no mana floating, and they only have 5 left. So, Transmute is, again, if you haven't seen my other videos, for this card in particular, 1 blue, discard this card from your hand, go get something that costs CMC 2 from the deck to your hand, and it can be Psych Rift. They do have to reveal it. Let's go check it out. It's Dramatic Reversal. Okay, so they will have a bunch of extra mana. That's nice. Fabricate. Search your library for an artifact card. Reveal it. Put it to your hand, then shuffle your library. Now remember, everyone, Tinker is banned in Commander. Isochron Scepter. They now have infinite mana. This is not what I wanted, but okay. We are going to counter the Isochron Scepter. Alright, we have Dramatic Reversal without an Isochron Scepter happening. That is interesting. I don't want to counter it. And Isochron Scepter is still in their hands, so I guess we're not going to counter it. They untap their artifacts. I wonder if that was by design or not. That's not really going to work. Nothing in chat about messing anything up. So interesting. This has not gone how I had hoped, unfortunately. We have our Kalemancer coming to the battlefield. They will get 2 things back. Could be Devastation Tide, could be Mellow Mixture, could be Rapid Hybridization High Tide. High Tide won't really do anything. I think I'm going to let this go and see what happens. They will get back Dramatic Reversal. Let's see what their other target's going to be. Their other target is going to be, I can't see, High Tide. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. They want to make a big play, but I think they messed it up this last turn, which means we are probably dead to the Morph creatures. Unless they want to keep us alive so we can kill off the blue player. That's not something I really wanted to do. And the wizard player quits the game. That's unfortunate. We are so dead. Well, alright. Let's just bask in the glory of those arrows, like I like to say. Yeah, I think they basically just screwed up that turn. They meant to do the infinite mana thing with Dramatic Scepter, but I guess it just played it wrong. We forced their hand a little too hard, I guess. Not much to say about any of that. Brine Elemental. Oh my god. Pickles Lock, perhaps. That is going to suck. Yeah, it's gonna suck pretty hard. Just as a note, I neglected to put Kadena with the Pickle Lock together because I didn't want to do that to people necessarily. But if you want to keep somebody down, it's a good way to do it with morphs. Animar to combat. Yep, just let me have it. There's everything. I guess I could cast Heroic Intervention just for the lulls, but I'm not gonna. And the attack. And the hit in the face. No blocks. Can't do anything about it. The damage is -35. Good game to our opponents. Morph Animar. At least it's like a more fair kind of thing, I guess. Hey, they have Fortune Thief. I love that card. Platinum Angel, though, was kind of a surprise. Didn't expect that. Guess I should have. Let's go ahead, take a look at the Brokkos deck as it is, and talk about possible upgrades. Alright, so here it is. Unchanged from the changes I made in the last Brokkos video on the last series. Way back in the early days of the channel here. So, basically what we want to do is mutate our commander onto an Infect creature, make it a 6/6 Trampling Infector, plus whatever other abilities are underneath. On our last game that we just played, we specifically had Regeneration. Could also have things like Flying from Skitherix. Plague Stinger also gives Flying. Flying is really good generally. Unfortunately, we can't use the 2-drop that's blue. It's unblockable. I forget its name at the moment. It is human. You can only mutate onto non-humans, so that is something you need to look out for. We also have some Proliferate in the deck, Exonerable Tide, the Sword of Truth and Justice, stuff like that. I might want to edge that up a little bit, so if we can get some Infect going a little bit on each player, that's more viable than just using our commander. We also have some Pillowfort effects, but I'm thinking at this point, since they're so few and far between in green, blue, and black, that we should really go for some other kind of strategy, maybe like some defenders that can produce mana, or something to make our guys unblockable, various things like that. So for that, we have Sandworm Convergence. As far as Pillowfort goes, we have Sandworm Convergence, Elephant Grass. I did not use No Mercy. It's a really expensive card in paper, and I do try to keep these budget-ish. Now that my collection on Magic Online is much larger, we can look at some different options, though. Maybe No Mercy will be in the deck. We also have Propaganda, of course, and Collective Restraint. If you don't know about this one, it has Domain. Creatures can't attack you unless the controller pays X, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. And a 3-color, 4-color, 5-color deck, if you really need to use this, that can be a lot of mana. It's obviously still not as good as maybe Sphere of Safety, but we're not playing white. So the deck is restrained by the number of creatures that have Infect. We might also want to put in a grafted exoskeleton rather. Other than that, the only other thing we had to give Infect besides was this Pheresis? I never get this right. Enchanted creature has Infect, so that's kind of like a backup. We also have Corrupted Conscience to use something against another player, so that's also kind of like a backup. Overall, the deck is a fairly weak Voltron kind of strategy. So for upgrades, let's talk about those. I'm thinking definitely more card draw. Get rid of Guardian Project. That card is terrible in here. It's absolutely terrible. Definitely want to get some more card draw in here. Definitely want to get a little bit more ramp. And we need some more protections and maybe a better way to infect our opponents. I think last time we didn't have the Ico Rats in here, and I added that after the fact. So if you go back and look at that video, I'll put a blurb up. So yeah, anyway, we can get 1, 2, 3 infect on our opponents and then proliferate. I think we should definitely add more proliferating effects. Something like Protective Bubble is definitely needing to come out. It gives Shroud, my creature can't be blocked, but there's probably cheaper ways to do that. At the very least, something that won't die when my creature dies, like Whisper Silk Cloak. That might be good. If you have any comments about how to make Brokkos better, let me know below, of course. And if you saw any cards you want to order for yourself, or if you're looking to order some sealed product from Commander Legends, hopefully the price isn't outrageous right now. I haven't worked up the guts to check yet. Or, you know, sleeves to protect any of your new shiny goodness. Please consider using our TCG player affiliate link in the description below. It helps out the channel, doesn't cost you anything extra, and helps us increase the collection on here so I can put in cards that don't totally suck. As you know, this is just kind of a throwback with Brokkos. Protective Bubble. Such a bad card. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the game, and I'll see you on the next part of this series for Brokkos when we upgrade him and make him hopefully much more viable. And then we have maybe 1 or 2 commanders to go until Commander Legends. I'm very excited for that set to come out. There's a lot of guys I want to try out building. Let me know in the comments again what commander you're looking forward to. And I'll see you on the next video for Brokkos, Apex of Forever Infect.